Okay, so if you're running a US CPA firm, you know the feeling. The pressure is always on. Tax seasons feel like they get more intense every single year, deadlines are just getting tighter, and finding the right people, yeah, that feels like a never-ending battle. Today, we're going to dig into a really big strategic shift that the top firms are making to get ahead in 2025 and beyond.
And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? That feeling of being stretched so thin, of running into the same brick wall every single busy season. You're not imagining it. It's a feeling that's echoing all across the industry right now. The old way of doing things just isn't working anymore.
I mean, it's like a perfect storm, right? You're trying to keep clients happy and stay on top of all the compliance demands, but at the same time, you're fighting a massive talent shortage that makes it almost impossible to staff up. And the talent you can find, the cost is just going through the roof. It's an equation that just doesn't add up.
So what's really at the root of all this? The source material we're digging into here argues that the core issue isn't just about having too much work. No, it's something way more fundamental. It's a crisis of capacity.
And this is where things get really interesting. Think about it. The problem isn't a lack of business. For most of you, the phone is ringing. The real struggle is that you've hit a wall, a capacity wall. You can't grow, you can't even breathe, because you just don't have the reliable, scalable manpower to handle the work you've already got, especially when things get crazy.
And this capacity crisis, it shows up in some really painful ways. Does any of this sound familiar? Your most valuable people, your senior accountants, are buried in routine prep work instead of focusing on high-level reviews and client strategy. Deadlines get missed, burnout becomes the norm, and you've got a revolving door of staff. And the worst part? Your payroll costs are climbing faster than your revenue. Every single one of these is a symptom of that same core problem, a lack of capacity.
Okay, so if the problem is this capacity crunch, what's the solution? Well, it's not about firing your team and starting over. It's about extending them. Let's talk about how bringing in global teams can completely change the game.
So when you start looking into this, you'll see two main paths pop up. On one side, you've got nearshoring. Think closer time zones, which sounds good for collaboration. But what firms often find is that the talent pool isn't as deep, the cost savings aren't as big, and it's still tough to scale up for those crazy peaks. Then, on the other side, you have the mature offshore model, specifically in a place like India. Here, you've got a massive talent pool, serious cost benefits, and a whole system that's literally built to handle the intense demands of a US tax season.
And let's be super clear here. This is not about just finding some random freelancers online. The reason a place like India is still a leader is because there's this deep, specialized ecosystem. You're getting access to people who have spent years working with US GAAP and IRS rules. The time difference becomes a huge advantage. It's like having a 24-hour work cycle. And the best providers offer structured services, not just bodies and seats. It's a whole different level.
Okay, let's talk about the big fear, because I know what you're thinking. The second you hear the word offshore, your brain probably jumps to losing control, to quality issues, to security risks. But the modern way of doing this is designed specifically to solve for that.
And this is the absolute biggest mental shift you have to make. You're not just throwing work over a fence to some faceless company. The goal here is total integration. A modern offshore team functions like they're sitting in the next office, a seamless part of your workflow, an extension of your staff that you manage and talk to every single day.
So how do they actually maintain that control? Well, it's not magic, it's a system. And it looks something like this. First, your offshore team is dedicated only to you. They're not juggling 5 other firms. Second, everything runs through secure, established workflows with clear review stages. Third, communication is constant. Daily updates are the norm. And finally, you often get a US-based layer of management that makes sure everything is perfectly aligned with your firm's standards.
All right, enough with the theory, let's get practical. How does this integrated, controlled model actually help you win during tax season? You know, the craziest time of the year. Let's see what it looks like.
This is the difference between chaos and control. Instead of just reacting to the craziness, you plan for it. You work with your offshore partner to map out your capacity needs before the season even starts. You define exactly who does what. Your US team focuses on the final review and client conversations, while the offshore team handles all the heavy lifting of prep. Everything is systemized, turning tax season from a frantic scramble into something predictable.
And hey, this isn't just a tax season trick. Think about payroll. You know that service line that's a total headache to scale because it's so intensive and mistakes are so costly? Well, with a dedicated offshore team handling all the processing, you can suddenly turn payroll into a super profitable, scalable service without burning out your team at home.
So when you boil it all down, what are we really talking about? We're talking about a fundamental move away from the just work more hours mindset and toward a model built on smarter systems and global leverage.
All right, let's just call it out. The elephant in the room, the big question that's on everyone's mind. And honestly, it's a totally fair concern for any firm leader.
And the answer is a hard no. This isn't about replacement, it's about elevation. By having a global team handle the routine, compliance-heavy work, you free up your senior in-house experts to do what they do best, actually advising clients, building those critical relationships, and driving real strategic growth for your firm.
Okay, next big one, and this is non-negotiable. In today's world with cyber threats everywhere, there is absolutely zero room for compromise when it comes to client data security.
And here's the thing you have to understand. A really good offshore partner, one that lives and breathes this stuff, will probably have security measures that are even more robust than what a small firm could build on its own. We're talking encrypted systems, tightly restricted access, and processes that are built around compliance from day one. It all comes down to choosing the right partner.
I mean, this quote just sums it all up, doesn't it? The firms that are going to win in the future aren't the ones just grinding harder and putting in more hours. They're the ones building a smarter machine, a leveraged global operation that allows their firm and their people to actually thrive.
So, I'm going to leave you with this one thought to chew on. Just seriously think about it for a second. If that constant bottleneck, that capacity crisis was just gone, what could your firm achieve? What new services could you finally launch? How much faster could you grow? What would it feel like to head into next tax season feeling confident instead of filled with dread? That's the real possibility here.